Hello, hi, good evening, everybody. Uh, Welcome to the third webinar of the Pran Foundation webinar series, Not All Talk. The presence and importance of mental health, especially in the working adults, in the life of working adults, which includes students going to graduation, studying in universities, and working employees, has been pushed under the rug for many years now. And this also happens because people who are working and who are studying in universities and graduation, they have their own aspirations, they are looking out for opportunities, and they themselves might not give so much importance to their own mental health. However, before we delve into our conversation today, I want to present some statistics about the mental health of working adults. So a survey done in the year 2015 by Associated Chambers of Commerce and Industry of India, and another survey done in 2019 by the HR tech startup Hush, reported that between 2012 and 2030, the estimated economic loss owing to mental health conditions could be around $1.3 trillion. Sharing more about employee-related statistics, the report says that 3 out of 5 employees suffer from workplace depression. 7 out of 10 are unhappy in the place they are working. And the trend of anxiety in workplace has increased by about 40 to 50% over the past 8 years. With all this in place, with the pandemic, there has been another challenge that has been posed to this particular population. Now they have to manage work at home, they have to manage work at office, those who have children or those who have a family, they also have to care for their family while doing all of this. Now there's a new set of fears also because people are easily losing their jobs. There is an economic crisis. So today we're going to be discussing about the fears, the concerns, the stressors, and some strategies that can really help these people who are working or are studying in graduation or university. And for this, we're going to have with us Miss Soumya. So let me introduce Miss Soumya before we call her on stage. Ms. Soumya is currently a senior partner at Logica Technologies and director for partnership and collaborations at Chitrak Eco Ventures. Chitrak Eco Ventures is focused on biodiversity conservation, and it's working towards giving employment opportunities for people with disabilities, and it also works towards rural outreach programs. Some of the work that Ms. Soumya does includes talent acquisition strategy, internal human resources, and employer branding. Her extensive experience includes working for technology and digital marketing companies and startups in diverse and geographically dispersed human resource teams. With a career spanning over 2 decades in human resource, I would now like to welcome on our show Ms. Soumya Nukala. Hello, hi, good evening.
Hello, Lisa. Thank you for having me over.
Please.
Thank you for the invite. Lovely introduction. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much. And it's actually so good to, come out and, sit in such a beautiful space to actually have this
Finally,
conversation.
to get out and be at least with some nature around us. This is absolutely wonderful.
Great. All right. So today, I think what we're going to be discussing with you is people who are working from home.
Yeah.
All right. Some people who actually have to go out there and, who have to work there outside. I mean, because there are still people in some of the industries,
Right.
where they're still going out and, they're still working.
Yep.
Apart from that, we're also going to talk about certain strategies that employers can equip themselves or equip their employees with in order to deal with this pandemic.
Yep.
So if you're ready, let's not wait and let's get started.
Let's get.
All right. Now, for people who are working from home or are attending university, graduation, college from home, I'm going to be directing the first set of questions towards this particular population.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
So now work from home has become a new normal. All right? And one of the drawbacks of work from home has become the thinning of the working lines.
Yes.
All right? people probably work way early in the morning or they're working too late at night,
Right.
because they're trying to manage many things at once.
Definitely.
Now, what do you think are the common stressors that these people are experiencing because of the new work from home phenomenon?
So I think the first thing is it's completely new to everybody, right?
Right.
So it's not just that, okay, people who are working from home are the only ones facing this challenge. Even those employing them also are facing the challenge. It's been something that the whole world is trying to grapple with. Employers, workers, students, teachers,
Right.
universities, schools, everybody across, right? So I think one big thing, like you mentioned, the work-life balance or integration or blend as we call it, that's kind of becoming more and more crucial. The other thing I think is people not being able to draw a line as to where their work hours end and where their personal time begins.
Right.
It's all over. Workload I think has increased a lot. Most of my friends, I mean, including my own team, we all know that since we're all cooped up at home, we are spending more time in front of our computers trying to get as much work done as possible. One reason also is because staffing. There have been a lot of staffing changes. So there are big companies that have made some adjustments in their staffing. There are smaller companies that have been impacted pretty badly. A lot of layoffs happening, a lot of terminations happening, a lot of people losing jobs. And those who survived those layoffs are the ones who are getting the bigger chunk of work to get done. So they're doing that. The hours obviously have become long, and also I think have become late. Like you start early in the day and you go on till late in the night. So where do you stop and how do you stop it? So that's become big. I think another stressor I feel I can sense myself is how much time do I give to myself? How much time am I able to give to my family? And am I taking care of myself enough? Am I able to focus on what needs to be done as far as my family goes? Not just the physical provision of food and all of that, but just in terms of being available mentally, in terms of being available emotionally,
Right.
for myself and the family. I think that's like a major stressor for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, you've pointed out so many things, and in addition to this, I also remember having this conversation with you in the past where you said that when you're working in an office, right, you're working and then there's a break,
Yeah.
right, and then that
Yes.
break ends.
Yes.
But what happens when you're working at home is that there's no end to that break, right? Because it's not specific.
Exactly.
And also, I think what most people want to do is that they want to leave office work at office and go home. Now that it's all together, I think there's this complete blend, and there is absolute no line
Yeah.
for us to be able to distinguish
Yes.
between this is my family time, this is my work time, and moreover, I think self-care, like you
Yes.
were mentioning, I think that is where a lot of people have faced the biggest challenge, because you're distributing your time between work, between family.
Yes.
Where do I get time for myself? And that becomes the biggest stressor, because then it becomes a vicious cycle.
Yes.
I can't give myself time. I'm stressed. I am stressed. I want to work more because I want to reduce that stress, and still again I don't have time.
It's like you're on a loop.
I know.
Constantly on a loop, and
Right.
you don't know where to start and where to end it.
Exactly. So I think those were very well explained situations of the concerns or the stressors that people at home face. Now that we've discussed some of the areas of stress, what would you say people can do to bring in a little amount of normalcy? Because I think it's been what now, 9 months?
9 months?
9 or 10
I
months?
think we're gonna continue like this for another few months, if I'm not wrong.
Right,
Maybe
so-
through summer next year.
Okay.
Let's hope not, but that's what
Yeah,
people
that's
keep
what
saying.
people keep saying.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be more than 13 or 14 months that we're going to be cooped up in our houses.
Definitely.
So what do you think are strategies that people can adopt to bring in normalcy, or adjust to this new form of life?
Sure. So I think, I'm not going to use a big word called strategy, but I will just say tips and pointers
Fair
that
enough.
at least have helped me. So, for instance, I know this was going to be an Insta live session. We're going to be sitting outside. It'll be nice, maybe not as formal, but then this was my little time to get a little formal. So I put on a little jacket. I got out of the house, freshened up a bit. So I think that kind of gives that little push to you that you're actually going to enter into either like a workspace
Work
or
zone.
some work zone or something, right? So, I mean, the moment I take this jacket off, it's like casual.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll step out for a food or drink or whatever. But so that's something that I do. And of course, more and more people are anyway going to be on Zoom calls, going to be on work conference calls and all of that. So dressing up a little, just like how you would do when you go to work, right? So just put on your regular work clothes if it helps you, instead of sitting in your PJs. Well, that's a comfort,
Yeah,
and
I
it's
know.
a convenience a lot of people would want to do. But I think if it just needs to get you into that zone of, okay, I'm going to be working for the next couple of hours, I don't want any distractions or anything like that, then just put on a blazer or put on a work shirt, whatever, a little dress, whatever you're comfortable in. Get into that zone, right? And then one other thing I feel every day, usually like couple of minutes, whether it's early in the morning or late in the evening, I walk up to the terrace. So I just, there is not much space anyway. I live in an apartment building too. So I walk up to the terrace, just stare into either the the sunrise or a sunset for a few minutes, just to like
Meditatively,
recharge. It's just
yeah.
like recharge. I mean, a lot of people are like trying to do yoga on the side. People are trying to do meditation, but then you're cooped up in the house anyway. As much as you would want to. But so I think stepping out, even if it's just for like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, if you're able to walk out of your building, just do one
Being very
quick
safe,
round of
right.
a walk, or that's why I saw, instead of going out, I'll just walk up to the terrace. And just spend a few minutes there walking around. So that's something I think would help just to recharge yourself, right? I also have my little space that I sit and work in. That's like my
Right.
work nook, my little workspace, right? So if you are able to, and if there is enough space in the house while you're working, to just have like a table and a chair set up somewhere or to a corner if possible, or maybe by a window or wherever it is possible, where you may not be easily distracted. I mean, I'm sure there's the little members of your family too who are at home with you.
Yeah.
So it may not always necessarily be easy to do that, but still, if you're able to do that, have a dedicated space just to
Work.
sit. Yeah, put your laptop in or a desktop in, put your water on one side, get your little things organized, and just for that time, that's your office space. Just like how you would go into the office, once you sit in your desk at your desk, then that's your thing, right? So
Right.
I think that's important too. I think people, if they're able to do that, they should do that. Take regular breaks. Even if it's like a 5-minute break, just walk around drinking some water. Step into a balcony, because I know you might have back-to-back meetings or whatever. So instead of going too far out, just step into a balcony, get some air, and then freshen up a bit, go back in.
I know.
So some of those things, and I think, even if not all the meals, like even when you're working, you will not necessarily be able to do all the meals together, but maybe one quick meal with the family or a dinner. Typically, that's when end of the day everybody's back to their
Together,
routine. So just eat, just chill, relax, talk about stuff that's not work related for that little bit of time.
So you basically are telling that we need to make a difference, So I think what you're saying is that you need to be able to identify that, hey, you know what, this is my work time,
Yeah.
and hey, you know what, this is my family
Some
time.
demarcation,
Yes.
that is not too far-fetched and that's not too hard or challenging. Those little minutes, a few minutes here, a few minutes there, maybe 2 minutes for a break or 5 minutes from here. Do that throughout the day, even if you are being called into meetings or pulled into calls later in the night. Having those breaks in between definitely helps.
That's absolutely right. I think the idea of bringing normalcy is kind of aping or
Yeah.
kind of copying how it would normally be.
Yeah.
The more we try to keep it close to the normal, the more normal we're going to feel.
Yes.
I think of everything you have said, taking a break, creating your workspace, for studying. I mean, if you're studying, so
Yeah,
for
same thing,
studying,
same
so
thing
you
for
have your
studying.
space and everything. I think one thing that people are really missing, at least I think since I'm in the field and I keep listening to people,
Right.
is communication.
Yes.
I think that is what is really, really bothering them. Like, for example, if something is not happening well in office or something is happening really good in office, I do have a coworker to speak with.
Yes.
And I think that communication is what the pandemic has, really
Broken.
broken down to pieces. So I think in addition to everything you've said, I think we should still take that time to just, speak with our co-workers, maybe not work related.
Yeah,
Maybe, just
it
speaking
could
with
still
them.
be like your little coffee break kind of thing,
Yes.
where or you buy the water cooler, getting some water, whatever it is, right? So offline, even if you're not able to pick up the phone and be on the phone talking to them, you could just be messaging them or chatting with them. Just say, hey, how's the day going? Hey, yaar, I put like how you would typically go in, yaar, aaj kaam acha nahi ja raha hai, whatever it is, right? Like you just can do that. Talk about it a little. Be in touch with your colleagues, your work buddies.
Right.
Some people have work spouses, as long as they are in that work zone. That's my work husband, my work wife, because they are the ones you hang out most of your time with.
Yes.
So having that constant connect and communication with them, yeah, definitely helps.
So everybody who has joined us and is working or studying, I think Ms. Soumya has given us some really beautiful tips on how
Yeah.
to make sure that you're as close to normal as possible. And please, if you're going to be able to, capitalize on these, I think, right now it's going to be easier, but tomorrow when you actually have to go back there,
It wouldn't
it's
feel as
going to
bad.
Yes. It wouldn't feel as burdensome to be able to go back.
Because you're going to try to maintain that same type of schedule even when you go back. I mean, I'm sure some people are already started to go back.
Yes.
And there's a good number of people who are still home, but it will help. It
Makes
definitely will help.
Alright. Now, there are some people who have started their career during the pandemic.
Oh, yes.
Okay, these young people just fresh out of college, full of energy.
You're right.
But they have started their work from home instead of going into the office and normalizing themselves in the office. So, what do you think the effect is going to be of the pandemic on these young people who've started like a work from home?
So we've done that too, and of course, while some parts of the interviewing process has always been virtual, let's say, the initial phone interview is virtual, you have a coding, for IT folks, there's a coding assignment they do virtually. Some of those parts have always been virtual. But now, like we are hiring folks just over the phone or on a video call or something like that. So the whole virtual hiring piece has taken up so much energy also, I think, both from the HR side as well as the candidates and new hires. And I feel so bad for new hires in a way, because I've done that too, and I feel bad that they're not having the typical new hire experience that some of us others have enjoyed.
Yeah, yes.
Coming into the office on day one, putting your little bag on, you walk in, everybody's like greeting you, hey, welcome on board, whatever it is, right? And you get to meet your team, you get to meet your manager, the bosses, and you have your new hire orientation. Now even that's virtual, right? You sit at home in front of a computer all day. Meetings are online, your orientation is online, everything is online. So I think that kind of demoralizes certain people, and I think some especially youngsters who are this is like their big break right after
Yes.
college. So they're super excited, they're creative, they're brimming with ideas, they want to do it all, but then they have to do it from home. So in a way, I think that lack of connect in terms of a human touch or a personal touch, right? That can be a little off-putting to some people or a little stressing for some people, because if they had teachers and professors in college, and they would think they will have mentors. Of course, they will have mentors at work too. But that first day phase, meeting your recruiter who's hired you, saying hello to them, or your manager who's going to manage your work, all of that has gone down. So I think having that, the first initial uncertainty, I would say, it's in terms of how am I going to manage it? Am I going to be able to do it? How will people assess me? How are people evaluating my performance? Or how are people going to think about me without having seen me or observed me or my work style or my way of doing things? Can I approach people with questions? Is it okay to ping people whenever I have a doubt or a question, especially during those first few weeks?
I think
that can be a little.
It's tricky even when you are there in office
Of course.
physically.
Yes.
To go and to ask people something. But I'm sure it becomes much more difficult when it has to happen virtually. Because the hesitation is like way high.
Because you don't know what that other person is doing. So it is in the office, you can just go in, check, peep in, see, okay, no, they're busy, I'm going to come back later. Versus even now, you just have to ping them and say, hey, can I ask you a question? Are you free? Can I bother you for a minute? Whatever the case, right? So I think that, and then from a work perspective, like I said, can work get done by
Yes.
new hires, staying home, in the comfort of their home, sitting and doing work? Is that something that they will be able to acclimate themselves faster without anybody sitting on their head or supervising? I mean, we are still talking about youngsters, people who are easily, possibly, sometimes distracted with other things. And when they know there is nobody around watching what they're doing,
Yeah.
that could be a little hard. And then the
Definitely.
same thing if you flip the coin, if you're talking about managers and new hires, right? Can I trust this person to get this work done on time as required? Am I giving him enough responsibilities? Am I giving them more or less than what they're capable of or what their role requires them to do? So all these things, kind of factor in, and I think even that manager new hire relationship, building that out over the first few weeks or a month is also a little bit of a stressing factor for, I think, new hires, because it's like, okay, how do I approach them? There's not as much time being spent physically to get to know each other, right? So everything has to happen on a phone call or a message or something. So I think that's going to be a little
Challenging.
Challenging.
And,
It is going to be a challenge.
Yeah, I think just to add on to this one point that you were saying, that especially because of the education system in India, I think people, I mean, most of them, I
Yeah.
wouldn't say all of them, but we're used to educating ourselves in the presence of somebody.
Exactly.
Maybe, a teacher, or maybe a
Professor.
lecturer, a professor, somebody at home,
Yeah.
because all the way, because I've seen this trend, even all the way till graduation, you do have somebody who's like, or in some cases you even have a tutor.
Yeah.
And people do like go there
Go
and
there.
they do all these
There's
things.
some guidance and
Yes.
there's some support and mentorship that happens. I mean, that happens, like I said, it also happens here, but the way it's happening now in the virtual world, I think that's definitely changing, obviously. And I think new hires, folks who are just graduating, who are getting into the marketplace, who are getting their first jobs, they'll have to slowly try to build themselves up.
Acclimatize themselves to the
Yeah,
entire
they'll have to
process.
say, okay, this is how things are going to happen, for at least for the near future. So by the time actually when things get normal, they've already been like 1 year in the job, could be 6 months down, 1 year down, right? So, but then at least they know this is what it looks like if you were working in a virtual team. So they would have had that experience. So I think they should just prepare themselves to say it's not a bad thing. It could be a challenge at the beginning, but I don't think it's a bad thing. You start getting yourself acclimatized to what is happening, how people are doing things. I think it should make it more easier as time goes by.
Yeah, and I think just to everybody who's a new hire and is out there, just hold on. It's
Yes.
going to get better.
Yes.
Maybe if you were working and you got this break, you would have valued it a little differently.
Some people are like, yay, this is the best time of our lives.
I know.
But yes, I mean, I definitely understand.
For the younger folks,
For the
it
younger
is difficult.
folks, somebody who's just coming out of college, or this is their first job, stay on, stay put, stay the course. You will do well.
Right. So thank you so much for giving us an insight into how it's looked for the younger folks. Now I'm just going to take a shift in turn about the same population, all right? So we know that a person who's happy or a happy employee is a productive employee, right? This has been proved by a lot of research and a lot of work has gone into just giving out this statement. So what steps can employees themselves take in terms of personal and professional development?
Right.
To make sure that they are happy, thus making the entire workplace a very productive place to work in.
So I think happy people in general, if we're just talking about in general, right?
Yeah.
All of us. So again, like you said, there are people who kind of get a little more creative, a little more productive, or have a better balance of self and life in terms of even their health, both physical and emotional and mental. So some of the things you could easily do, smile, smile, smile. So I think, the movement, and I think it only, I can't remember the exact number, but it only takes
72 seconds.
72 seconds, and I'm also talking about the muscles in your body,
Yes.
right? To frown, to put on a sad face versus a smile. The smile takes very less of your muscles than the face you put on when you're angry or grumpy. So smile can instantly, I think it just clicks you.
Triggers.
It triggers that little, oh, I'm happy now. Or, a smile can be a comforting factor for somebody else who's approaching you. You look approachable. You look like, okay, this is some, I'm happy, or I can make through the situation, I can get through the situation. So smiling definitely helps. I think when you are working in a big organization, whether big or small, I mean for that matter, even if it's just a small team of 10 people, but different teams, being engaged with them in terms of being able to communicate with them, it doesn't necessarily have to be only work related. At least to build that circle to say, hi, how are you doing? Hey, can I help with something? Or if you need help, being able to approach them. So interacting with your other teams and other departments, I think that's critical, because you never know. With everything that's online, sometimes you might have to reach out to people you don't know, you've never met, but you need their help. So it's always good to slowly build those relationships out with other teams, other departments. At least have one or two people you can reach out to, right? So that I think will also give you a different perspective. So happiness is not just about, I think that also kind of includes a perspective, a well-rounded perspective outside of what you do, outside of your work, outside of your personal space, or outside of your professional life, right? So what others are thinking about the same aspect, two sides of the coin, that socializing, like I said, you socialize, you interact, you kind of also a simpler task beyond that. If you're an introvert and you're like, oh my God, she's talking about all these things, just keep your little space nice and neat. And that's why they say, even you'll remember your mom's always saying when you wake up, please fold the sheets back into their normal position, just don't leave them off on the bed and go, because end of the day when you come back, you want to feel like the bed is welcoming you to come and sleep, right? So same thing with your desk. You have to go clear out your space and sit down and then focus on what you want to do.
Absolutely, I think one way that we can look at the productivity aspect is the approachability of a person.
Yes.
And I think all the steps that you've just said, like you keep smiling, you engage with others, you know that you reach out to them, maybe work related or not, or maybe you keep a neater space, and you call people over. I think the more approachable you are, the more productive you're going to be with work, because I think that's when people might kind of assume that a dependability factor might increase.
Sure. And I think, even with introverts for that matter, when I say socialize, it's not like, oh, go party out there and all of that. Just a hi and a hello. How is your day going? Simple. I mean, even if you're seeing somebody online, or, before a meeting begins, there's always those few minutes before a meeting starts, even on a Zoom call, right? When everybody's waiting for everybody to come in. So instead of just sitting there silent and just staring at the screen, or doing something on the side, you could just try to do that little banter, chit chat, small talk, maybe.
Yeah.
Just to say, okay, hey, how are you guys? Smiling.
How's it been?
How's it going? Yeah, how's your morning been? Or how's the day going? Whatever it is, just a tiny little word. You never know what the other person is going through, right? So just that one word of asking what they are and how they are doing, you never know, you could be changing their mood up.
I really love the small little tips you're giving. The applicability of the tips or the tricks that you're telling us is definitely to be taken by and far by people.
Hopefully, I think it is. hopefully. I try to do most of these things, and I'm hoping that it's helped me, so I'm hoping it does others too.
So again, for everybody who's connected with us, we're with Miss Soumya, and she's giving us these tips and tricks how to make your life a work from home as normal as your office life, and how there are going to be stressors. We need to acknowledge these stressors, and also learn a few tips and tricks to kind of just move over them, or let them pass, kind of thing. So my first set of questions about people working from home is now kind of over. Okay, so now I want to move on to this next set of people who are actually going to work, right?
Yeah.
The stressors they are facing are definitely very
More.
different like you were saying, they're probably more than those who are working from home.
Yeah.
So what are the actual stressors of people who are going to work? Like, what are they experiencing right now?
So I think the first thing is the moment you have to step out of the house, you're like, how safe am I? Right? Am I going to be COVID free, or am I putting myself in that spot of getting infected? Right? So I've been like sitting in my cocoon all this time. My family and I have been protecting each other. We've not gone out much, but now my manager needs me in the office, or just generally my work needs me in the office, which means I'm going to the office. So the first thing is, okay, I'm stepping out. I'm going to be traveling to, I might be driving my own car and going to work, but still I'm getting into a public space. So first thing would be, am I going to get infected, right? And if I'm going to get infected, am I going to bring it back home? So that's like a big thing, because there are people who are living with you in the house. Now if you're staying by yourself, that's another challenge, because then you don't have anybody around.
So the support
To
is
support.
basically
So
gone.
that's gone, right? So that's one. And I think the other thing is, for a lot of parents, the support systems have not still been put in place right now. So schools are closed, daycares are closed, childcare is not really up and running as much. There are very few places which are actually slowly opening it up, but because children are in the vulnerable group, nobody wants to take that liability. So parents are hard hit, because if the parent has to go to office, who's going to take care of the child, right? And the other thing is, even senior citizens are in the vulnerable group. So having your parents or in-laws at home taking care of your kids, that can also be a little tricky right now, because you cannot do that. And talking about our species, which is the women that we have, especially the working ladies out there, it is, unfortunately, I will have to put it out there, as much as I know that a lot of men are trying to chip in and help at home and all of that, the amount of workload and burden has definitely gone up.
For the women.
For the women. I mean, it's a fact. I mean, you could just go knock on any door right now. There is a woman with a headset on her phone talking, being on a call or something, while maybe she's cooking, and there's a screaming child next door, mommy, 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 and then the dad has to be on a conference call, so he shut his door. So maybe that roles are reversing in between during the day, but majority of the time, and especially with maids not being permitted
Yes.
yet, right? So especially here in India, the maids
The maids are a big
they are like
thing
the
in
big
India.
support, right,
Yeah.
in India. So if you're not letting the maids in, you're not letting your cleaning people in, which means the cleaning of the house, the cooking of the house, everything that happens there, taking care of the family. If you have kids, then taking care of your kids, their online classes, their homework, their classwork, their exams, and doing your own work, and making sure everybody is being taken care of simultaneously.
It's a big
exhausting.
challenge. Yes.
It's pretty exhausting. So that's like super duper crazy, and I think most of all, if we are looking at from a public space, if you're talking about we as a public, as a common group, those who are helping us keep us healthy, they are the ones who are at the most risk. So if you're
Doctors.
talking about stressors, the frontline workers, doctors, nurses, like the healthcare professionals, you're also talking
Police.
about public service,
Public service, yes.
folks, whether it is police or even ambulance drivers or even sanitation.
Yeah, people in the
Cleaning
sanitation department.
Sanitation department outside. They are out there every morning cleaning up your streets. They're out there every morning. They have no break in between. So for them to be out in the public for so many hours a day, and then I actually personally know of a couple of friends who have not gone home for a month or two at a time, because they were doctors or they were part of the emergency crew in a hospital. So they had to stay put in a hotel after their shift ends. So
Because they don't carry the virus back
they
home.
don't carry it home, and they do not put their family at risk, because they themselves are already at risk. And I know we've also unfortunately heard of sad stories where those folks have been infected, and some of them have succumbed to it. So they don't want that risk to pass on. So that's a major stressor for anybody. So any of these things, the main thing is, I think, everything related to pandemic, right? Am I going to get infected? Will I infect other people? How will I manage without support systems? The typical support systems we are also used to, and you know how women, I think, more are in a vulnerable state.
Great. I think I specifically what I love about this answer is how you've been able to cover every single section of how it's for normal people or how it's different for women or how it's different for frontline workers, and I think we've literally covered all of it. So now we know that irrespective of their liking, not liking, work calls, duty calls, people have to be out there. Now, what can these people who are actually going out there, facing it, front
Yep.
hand,
Yep.
how do they bring normalcy to their own lives?
I would say first thing would be like stay safe, right? No matter what people are saying, how chilled everybody looks outside, please, please, please focus on your personal health. We already have enough cases in the country, and some even say the number is not being
Accurately
reflected.
presented.
Yes, it's much higher than what we hear in the news and everything. I've stopped paying attention to news these days because I'm like, that's another stressor for me. So personally, I'm like, I'm gonna do what I have to do to keep myself and my family safe. And they can say whatever they want. So some people are saying it's all perfectly nice, let's go out, let's hang out. Do not do that as
I think the number of times you've looked at the camera, this is like a personal request.
yeah, I am. I'm
Please
like,
don't
because,
go out.
please have your mask on. That's like, even when I came in now, and Aliza
Yeah.
will tell you, I actually stay very close by to this place, but I walked in, I was like,
With the
my
mask.
mask on. So my mask is always on, my sanitizer is always with me. I am making sure, especially if I step out. If I'm at home, I'm washing my hands, but when I step out, I carry my sanitizer, right? So please wear your mask. Keep yourself safe. Try not to get into crowded places or public spaces which are a little too where too many people are there, right? Try to keep that, and then keep yourself. Try to keep, I think, yourself, if possible, stress free. And I know sometimes family can add to the stress, but we will always advocate for family time. Because I know, each member of your family would be stressing about something or the other, right?
naturally.
And this is like a common stress factor. Kids are being affected in a different way. Senior citizens are being affected in a different way. Youngsters are affected in a different way.
Absolutely.
And so any age group, any gender, any part of your life that you are in, any phase of life you're in, the stress about pandemic is already there. So, but still, I think trying to be with each other, acknowledging that you at least have one another to talk about things or to share stuff, because there's a lot of families we know that who are losing family members. They're going through a lot of trauma, sadness, tragedy in their lives. So we have to count our blessings, say thank you that we still have ours. So at least for that, I think we should make sure we have some, family time with people who we have with us.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of normalcy that we're talking about. I mean, there are certain things you can't avoid,
Yeah,
but what
yeah.
can you do best?
Yeah.
In such a situation is, I think, what essentially all of us need to learn. But once again, we want to reiterate this clearly, that if you're going out, your safety is first. Please.
Mask on.
Yes, mask on. Like I think there's this filter that says sound on. Like, please, we're going to keep repeating
Mask
it.
on.
Mask on. That's essentially very important.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Now that we've discussed so many, probable stress situations, specific stress situations related to the pandemic, and how the experience is probably not so healthy for most individuals who are
Right.
experiencing it.
Right.
In addition to that, we started off with some statistics that talks about anxiety, depression, mental
Yes.
health conditions.
Yes.
So, keeping all of this in mind, do you think that counseling or therapy plays a role in a workplace? Like, does it have anything to do at workplace? Can it help people? Or what is your view at looking at counseling and therapy at workplace?
So I think therapy was like a taboo word for even now, like especially in India. I think at least in US, it's like a regular thing now. It's a normal thing. Like people feel stressed, or people are anxious, or people have gone through some tragedy, and they need some closure, or they need some kind of support from a third party, neutral person to talk their fears out, people go out there. And the therapy sessions are there and all of that. For us, I think as a culture, as a society in India, we've always tried to we are happy to talk about all the good things that are happening in our life. We're the first ones to pick up the phone and say, "Hamare ghar mein shaadi hai," or "Hey, I bought a house. Let's do this." But the moment you're going through something not as great, professionally or personally, in their situations, then people generally try not to. It's like, oh my God, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
If I go to this person, will this person look at me like I'm crazy, or they think that I've lost it? Will they be truthful about what I'm telling them? Will they be honest about their feedback to me? All of that, right? So, but I think it is essential. I've seen it help people. Whether you call it counseling, whether you call it therapy, whether you call it some other word, the whole point is to be able to provide an objective, neutral, third party, opinion or perspective, right, to what the person might, or even just to hear out somebody. Sometimes all it takes is just sitting there with an open mind and open heart and just listening to them. So I think that's critical. I definitely feel, and especially in workplace, right? So personally or whether professionally or personally, if you need to do that, please do that. And even at workplace, I think it is important. More and more HR departments and personal departments are, I think, realizing the importance of it and trying to see that they have somebody, even if it's like a third-party service. I know of companies that I employ third-party service providers and say your sessions with them are confidential. None of that information is going to be passed on to us. So a lot of companies now are going that route where they'll say physical health and mental health both need to be equally addressed. Yes.
Right. I think another thing that we need to address here, at least in some of the companies that I've seen, actually more than some of the companies I've seen, is that the human resource manager is usually looked upon as a substitute for a mental health professional, right? Now, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because you're a human resource manager and I'm a mental health professional. I do understand that the education that is given to you versus to me is very different.
Yes, it is.
Right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So I think that is one aspect that I think most companies are now starting to identify. Also, I think that the kind of work that an HR already has, it's a very burdensome job. It's a very stressful job. To make sure that people are happy where they're working can be a big task.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
In addition, listening to people in distress can also add a lot of stress on the HR professional. Right? So I think this is also for companies who are joining us or listening to us, or people out there, that HRs do not qualify as mental health support professionals.
Yes.
And you need to probably get in a support, like a third party, or an on-site.
Yeah, you can hire a few folks. You can have your own little team internally, right?
Yeah.
You hire a couple, whether it can be a therapist or a clinical psychologist or somebody who's got the credentials and the experience operating in that space, working in that field, who has that knowledge to share and has that experience on how to handle it. So HR wise, so I'm an HR professional. I've done everything from recruiting to all the way, the whole 360, the 9 yards or whatever you would call it. But I've always, as a recruiter, yes, I have candidates calling me, or I have new hires coming to me and say, I have a problem here, my manager seems to be a little upset with me. What do I do? How do I do it? So because you've been their point of contact, like
it becomes easier.
So it is easy for them to approach me because they see me as part of HR. They also see me because we built a little relationship from the point I've received their application till the time they walk through the door as a new hire. There is a little bond or a relationship. So, and I want my new hires to thrive at workplace, right? So I will sit with them and say, hey, how's it going? Like the usual 90-day review or whatever it is. That's the time to see if they have any problems, issues, and all of that. Those things I can do within my scope of influence and my scope of operation.
But
Work-related. But anything beyond that, I think it has to be addressed by somebody who has an experience there.
Right. So I think this is something that a lot of the crowd out there must know. And in addition to everything that Ms. Soumya has said, I would also like to add here and pitch in that, because at Fran we understand the need that, there are different companies out there who might really, require a third party service like you were saying. So at Fran we have, this workplace wellness program that we have designed, and it's a very unique program because we do see in the program that, we come down to the workplace and execute it. Now that it's happening, we do it virtually.
Sure.
But the entire program has bite-sized sessions where we first of all make like a need and impact assessment.
Okay.
So where you get in touch
need
with
to
the
know,
managers and everything.
You need to know
to
the current
understand,
situation.
Yes, the situation of the company. If the employees are facing something, the employers are facing something. On the basis of which we do design bite-sized workshops.
Okay.
In addition to that, I think we also take this an extra mile. So there are support groups. Where colleagues can come together, or
informal support groups.
So an informal support group would again be like a tea and talk.
Yeah.
So where informally you're just coming out, you're just discussing how the day has been, how work has happened. So we do provide the infrastructure to create all these things at Fran.
That's lovely.
So I think in addition to that, like you said, that as an HR, it's within your scope to discuss work-related concerns.
Yes.
But when it comes to anything beyond that, you do require counseling support, right? So we do also provide counseling support along with the service.
That is awesome. That is
So,
awesome.
I think
if anybody is watching this, please reach out to Aliza.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that.
Sure.
So I think this is our program. Now, in addition to what I was telling, and like we were discussing in the, just before we started the webinar, we do have a group of people or warriors or mental health warriors, like I personally call them, out there who have taken it on their shoulders to go and spread the propaganda of emotional well-being.
Lovely.
Okay, or emotional intelligence. Okay, so these people are in Fran what we call first responders.
Okay.
So the first responders is a volunteer program where we do have people from different walks of life. Okay, so we do have HRs, we do have architects, we do have doctors, we do have advocates who are a part of this program. We have students who come in and they try to learn emotional first aid, or the basics of how to listen to or identify and support a person in distress. So every month to this particular group we do give an assignment.
Okay.
So this month the first responders are working on work-life balance and navigating life through the pandemic.
All right.
And I'm sure most of them
we are talking about.
Yes, and I'm sure most of them have joined us here. So would you want to give a message to the first responders if they're meeting somebody who's going through a particular stressor in life, specifically work-life related? How do you think they can work on it?
I mean, first off, thank you and hats off to you guys if you're doing this. I mean, you guys are doing a huge service. And it definitely requires, rather warrants congratulations to you guys if you're doing it.
Thank you.
Because I think a lot of people are yet to realize the impact of something like this, right? Because there are a lot of people we can hear of, when you're talking about suicide hotlines and depression hotlines, all they want is somebody to listen to them, right? So that's what, in a way, this is one of those things that you guys are doing. So I think, spreading awareness and talking about it to more people, getting the word out there is hugely going to be useful and important. Maybe it will help somebody who hears about it from somebody and reaches out to you guys, and knows that, okay, so-and-so happens to know how this works. I know somebody who might need it. I'm going to put them in touch. Something like that. So awareness, definitely, right? And if you come across people who, let's say, are finding it challenging or fearing about speaking up about certain things, right? You, I think, become that person to encourage them, to say, it's all right, it's okay to share, it's okay to come out and talk about it. If you don't want to do it in a public setting or a bigger group or whatever, I am here to listen to you. So do that, if you are able to do that, then please do that, encouraging folks to speak up about whatever it is that they're going through, whether it is a problem or a stressor, work, professional, whatever, right? I think that definitely,
basically being there for
some people that just need a nudge, that little nudge, they want to talk to somebody, but they're kind of worried or they're fearing about some, maybe ramifications or repercussions or something. So just that little nudge to say, it's all right, nothing's going to happen. You can talk to me. I think that if you are doing it, awesome, good job for you guys. And I think the main thing is for a lot of us to be able to recognize and acknowledge that, you know, it is real, the stress is real. You're not the only person who's going through it. While in that situation, during that minute, you will feel like you are the only one going through this.
Absolutely,
but believe me, there will be thousands others who might be sitting in their homes going through the exact same thing, and feeling the same things, you know, what you are going through. So just to understand, I think for us also, like sometimes if I'm like low, you know, one of my low days or whatever, so if I sit down and I'm like thinking, and then I'm like, okay, you know, I know it's a low time for me, and I should know that it is a low time for me. I should be able to realize that I cannot be peppy and happy 24/7, 365 days. We are all human. There are emotions and feelings, and there are situations beyond our control sometimes. So acknowledging that and feeling that, okay, this is okay to be, it's okay to feel the stress. I understand it is real. I have to deal with it, and how I deal with it is what, you know, it could be either through talking to a friend, it could be either through calling you guys or whatever it is. So if you are talking to people, then having them understand and realize that
This
it
is
is okay,
important.
it is important, stress
it's
is
okay to feel
real,
this
it is
way.
okay to feel it. I mean, how will you negate your feelings? They are coming from within you, right? You are a person with a heart and a head. So there are thoughts and there are feelings. So if you can acknowledge this, you gotta acknowledge both places, right? So that, I think first responders should do that. I think they should definitely do that. And I think another important thing which I always go back to, like I told earlier, the women in the world, I'll go back to that, the bigger burden or the major workload or whatever it is, but if you are speaking with any of the women out there, working women especially, please focus on them, and you might be able to break down their stresses, you know, with your conversations or whatever, right? Because they have multiple things. Like I said, you know, it's you as a person. For men, it's a different situation versus you as a woman. All the things you deal with is almost
very
different. It's
different.
very different. You know, you have to take care of everything. You have to multitask. Women are generally good at that, which is good for us. But still, you know,
It
that
adds to the stress.
multitasking also has a limit on how much time they're able to do it at any point in time. So if you are speaking with women, please understand and maybe talk to them about all the different things that could be happening in their lives at that point in time, and what are those major stress points. It could be work, getting to work, coming back from work. It could be making sure that the senior citizens and the younger children are being taken care of, you know, safety-wise, health-wise, everywhere, right? And then themselves, not focusing on themselves. That's a big thing. Like, you know, how much time are they able to talk or think about for themselves? So I think that's also important, I think. And if I may add, while we are at it, I mean, again, this will be for all the first responders. I mean, no matter who they are, what they are, if they are doing this work, congrats once again. Thank you for your work, and good luck, I think, going forward, because I'm sure we'll see a lot more folks needing this, you know, with the first aid you guys are providing.
Great. I think it's been quite some time that we've had this chat. It's like almost like, you know,
Slowly
dusk.
yeah,
I know.
twilight. We are in the
I
twilight
know.
zone right now.
I know, and it's been brilliant. So thank you everybody for joining us, and more so, thank you so much, Miss
you.
Soumya, for coming down and you know, just agreeing to do this. There are so many people out there who really need to listen to some things you've said. And I just want to add, you know, it's not like we don't know these things.
Right.
We're very aware of
Yes.
these things. But when we hear it from somebody who's, wanting to, somebody just to reiterate it.
Right.
I think we tend to just follow it for a longer time.
And I
So
think just one more thing maybe I can add.
Please do.
More so. So when I was thinking about all these things, we're talking about from the public perspective, from our perspective. One thing, if there are any managers out there who are listening to us, or if there are any people in senior roles at an employer space, right? Working from a company's perspective, I hope they are being a little more flexible, a little more empathetic to people. Hopefully, they are doing a little more open communication with people. Because again, we can talk about all that we need to do as people, as workers, but then what
The
can the
employers.
employers do? So having open communication, open channels of communication, trying to make sure people are collaborating more, that gives them the opportunity of not just working together but also socializing a bit. So all the points we talked about, de-stressing, that safety for people who are coming into the office spaces,
the
making
employers
sure
must
employers
make
need
sure
to
about it.
the sanitation, all of that stuff, right? They need to make sure, and because you can't do public award ceremonies and all of that stuff, so whatever little you can do to recognize your
And
staff,
motivate them.
motivation, applause, whether it is just a little shout out on LinkedIn or something in a corporate newsletter or an email blast going, kudos for a job well done. Some kind of recognition, appreciation, and acknowledgement for all the work that's being put in. I think that's another good way to, I think, for somebody who's sitting on the other side of the table doing the work, just puts a smile on their face. So you're kind of putting the cycle back on. What you've said or done is putting a smile on somebody's face, and that we've already talked about smiling,
Productivity, approachability.
being a stress buster. So for anybody who is out there, if that's something that you can do, or hopefully you have your managers doing, great. If not, I hope they start doing that too. End of the day, it all matters, how you interact with people. It's just about empathy, right? You just need to be open to listening, and also, you listen to others, and then if you have a problem, have somebody listen to you.
All right.
All right,
Thank you so much, Ms. Soumya. It was a
Appreciate it.
really, really
Thank
long
you
and a
so
really
much.
nice conversation, very insightful.
Thank
and
you,
just
Lisa.
once again, I would like to thank you.
Appreciate your time, and this was lovely. I hope people enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys again sometime.
Thank you, and for everybody who's listening to us, we do have, I do see some questions coming in, and I'm sure I do see some comments coming in. We're going to definitely read it, and we do have another, question and answer webinar that's going to come up. You will see posters of it on our social media soon.
Awesome.
So if you have any questions about work-life balance, stressors you're facing, experiencing, and you want us to answer them, so just please DM them to us on our social media pages. That's Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Bye.
Bye, guys. Have a great one.
Oh my God.